You know how fast you were going?
What? How fast you were going?
I don't know. 10?
8.
Be advised, this is an explicit podcast. If you're easily offended, get your panties twisted into a knot. Leave now. Run to your safe space. Get your little cloth for your tears. All the opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and his guest and do not reflect the opinions of any local or government agency. Welcome to the MOTORCOP Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Iceman. We're going to have a guest today. Let's get the housekeeping out the way real quick. If you want a great premium cigar, go to patriotcigar.com. Use the promo code MOTORCOP15. You'll get yourself 15% off your entire order. If you order $100 or more, you can have free shipping. No. You want any MOTORCOP merchandise, T-shirts, whiskey glasses, all that stuff like that, you know, you can go to MotorCopChronicles.com. All the links are at the bottom, or you can just go to MOTORCOP Chronicles Etsy store and order there. Got them priced as cheap as I can. Some things are only $10, but you got to pay shipping and handling. So you can get a T-shirt $15. Other than that, we're going to shout out to Patreons. If you do want more MOTORCOP Chronicles podcast episodes, pictures, videos, all that other stuff, you can join the Patreon. We got 3 different tiers. There's 20 extra episodes on there right now. If not, it's going to keep putting out free stuff also. Talking about our Patreon, I'm going to shout out the full crew members. We got Kelly Meyer. We got Ronald Holstein. We got T-Bird. We got Mr. Jim Pokrant from the Short Track Guys podcast. We got Hoppy Hoppison, our favorite truck driving friend. We got Mr. Blake Walker. We got A. Ron from the I Had to Say It podcast, always putting out good content. We got Mr. Z Palmer. It's Roy Spalding, Roy with the S, not Roy with the P. Of course, we got our favorite Australian girl, JoJo. We got Kaylee Norris and Natasha A. from the state of Washington, down under. Everybody, appreciate y'all. We do have I did say Dan Carlson with Burley Boards. Y'all check out his wood products. They're awesome also. People helping me pay the bills. Appreciate it every single day. Without them, I got more coming out of pocket. All right. So we do have a guest, and we're going to introduce him and going to let him run with it. But we don't got a fancy person here. This man is educated. He is Mr. Kenneth Strange is a former FBI agent. He was in former DOJ SAC. He is also a best-selling author and true crime author. He has The Cop's Son, 1G Man's Fight Against Jihad, Global Fraud in the Cartels. He also is a law enforcement media consultant with Newsmax, Fox News, and a whole bunch of other stuff. His list of stuff is longer than my arm, and y'all know I have long arms. So without further ado, we're going to get Mr. Kenneth over here. We get him unmuted. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Iceman. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
It's my honor to have you on here. I mean, I'm just a goofball motor cop. You got, FBI and DOJ and all stuff like that, and writing books. I mean, you're in a league of your own.
Grow up, maybe I'll find out what I really want to do.
I think you've had a pretty long career here.
Yeah, it's been an interesting ride. I wasn't headed initially toward a career in law enforcement. Although my dad was a police officer with the New York Police Department, and I loved what he did, and I certainly loved the men and women that he worked with. I was kind of headed toward a career in academia. a teaching career. And so I started, after college, I started, I taught Spanish, if you can believe that. I taught Spanish for 2 years at a military academy on Long Island, outside New York City. So I started there, and then while I was there, one of the administrators, this was a religious school, so we called them monks. They were kind of like priests, monks, and so he said, "Look, we appreciate you teaching Spanish to our kids here, and we need that, but there's a lot of foreign kids at this school, and they would like to learn English, and we think that you would be a pretty good English as a second language teacher, and we'll help you, get your certificate. We'll pay for that at the nearby university." So, I wasn't too excited about it, but I said, okay, I'll try it. And so, I did my classes at night, got the certificate, taught these kids, and they were pretty interesting kids. I mean, they were, this was a very expensive school. You had Willie Mays' son there. You had the mafia, all the five families. They had their kids there and grandkids. And you had the Shah of Iran and his grandkids, and Somoza from Nicaragua and his sons and all of that. So it was very, very expensive, and it was a pretty popular school for the rich, kind of rich and famous. So I started off there in education, and then after about 2 years of doing that, I got a job offer in the Middle East as a teacher, as an English teacher. And, so I'm making like $8,200 a year with a free lunch. That's important, the free lunch, right? So, I couldn't wait to get out of the house. And, my father said, hey, you need to pay some rent here. You can't freeload. And so I was fit to be, I just wanted to split, to leave. So I got this job offer in Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. And it turned out that, I would be teaching members of the Saudi Arabian royal family, and that's what happened. I did 2 years of that. Did a year as a contractor with Aramco Oil Company, and then finished up 2 years working for out at the Riyadh airport, doing work teaching English to some of the Saudi employees of the government. So that's how it kind of started with all this teaching, and it kind of went here and there and everywhere, and then it didn't stop there. But when I finally came back to the States, and I got I got an advanced degree, right? I wanted to get like a master's, so I got my master's. So at that point, I there was a fellow, an FBI agent, who came into our school in Arizona, and he said, "We're looking for people like you. You speak a foreign language, you speak Spanish, a little bit of Arabic. We could use people like you in the FBI." And I thought, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe I could try that. So, I applied, and then I met a friend in New York who I went to school with. He was in the FBI. We had lunch in New York City. He explained it, and I just kind of liked it even more and more. So that's what happened. I finally I applied. I took, passed all their tests. Then they said, "Come to Quantico, and see if you've got what it takes."
So you had to get to the FBI Academy and running the yellow brick road.
Yes, exactly. You know it. Yeah, that's right. The yellow brick road. And we had a tough as nails instructor named Bob Rogers. He was an icon, and he was a former Marine, and he would run your ass off. And he was like a drill instructor. I was not in the service, so I wasn't used to that type of, Strange, pick it up, you're fired, whatever. So it was almost like if he complimented you, you were on cloud nine. So yeah, the yellow brick road, and then, Jodie Foster came through our class. She was shooting the movie Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, I like that movie.
Yeah, I mean, great movie, and so there she is, in our legal class, on the firearms class, and she's in our classes there, trying to kind of get into her role as Special Agent Clarice Starling. In fact, when we went out to one of the yellow brick roads, she was sitting next to me in the bus, and I tried making small talk with her. But she would have none of it. She was
That didn't work out for you, did it?
not at all. I mean, she was so into the part, and maybe she was thinking of Hannibal Lecter when I was trying to talk to her. I mean, I don't know, but she was in our class, and Iceman, she actually came to our graduation and sat right behind my wife and my parents, which is kind of interesting.
That is neat. Yeah, I think some of them actors, like, they immerse themselves and almost become these characters at some point.
Oh, exactly. And, she was very serious. And, I said, look, we'd love to invite you, have a few beers with us at it was a place on campus there at the academy. I forget the name of it, but, you would go there, you'd have popcorn, maybe you'd have a beer or two. And so, we invited her to attend, but, she said, no, thanks. I'm really trying to get into my part. So, okay. At least we were hospitable, right?
Yes. Some of them actors can be different. I'm sure I haven't met as many as you, especially in California, but I've met some that were just like everyday cool people that you wouldn't think, he's not with us no more. But when they was shooting All the King's Men, it was down here where I live, and
oh, yes.
James Gandolfini was in it, and I went on set, and he came out. Motorcycle Cop. He came out and was hanging out with us, and I got a picture with him. I didn't realize that man was so big. People didn't realize how big that man was. I'm 6 foot, and I was like underneath his armpit, and it's like,
my God, I didn't know he was.
Oh yeah, just nice as could be though. Jude Law come to me and asked me to sit on my motorcycle and stuff. So I've met some people, and then there's some other ones that just have attitudes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all types. Out here, I'm out here near Malibu, so, we do, in this zip code, we do kind of run into these people from time to time. I've become friends with Martin Sheen, the actor. And he played a huge part in my first book that I self-published called "It's Your Camino." He did a movie with his son called The Way. His son Emilio Estevez directed the movie, and it's about a pilgrimage in Spain called the Camino. So I met Martin at down in Mexico. We had a church group going down to Tijuana. To work with poor people in a church in a parish in Mexico, and he was part of our group. He was invited. I didn't know anything about it, and we were introduced to Martin Sheen at that time. And then he just talked our ears off and said, "Hey, you and your wife have got to go to Spain. You've got to walk this Camino," and so we did. And then when we came back, I wrote a book about it, and then I went back to Martin and I said, "Hey, Martin, thanks a lot. We did what you thought we should do. We had a wonderful time, and listen, I wrote a book about it. Would you look at it, a manuscript?" And he said, "Sure." And that's what he did. He looked at it and he said, I love it. He said, "What do you need?" And I said, if you could add a cover quote to my book, that would go a long way. And he said, "Yes, I'll be happy to do that." And I'm thinking, yeah, sure, right. He was working on a series, Frankie and Johnny or something like that. And I thought he would be too busy, but about a week later, I got this letter in the mail from him, and in this kind of beautiful handwriting, he said, "Here's a list of 5 cover quotes. Choose any one or a combination thereof." So, this is an actor that, in fact, he called me a few weeks ago and he said, "I read your other book, This Cop's Son," and he said, "Man, I loved it." And he said, "Boy, that last chapter, man, that's a movie." And so, when I heard that, I'm like, "Wow, thanks, Mark." So he's very nice, but yeah, there are some actors you just wouldn't. They're not going to give you the time of day, and they're not very pleasant people.
Oh yeah. So what was your main thing in the FBI? Was it language stuff? Because you spoke different languages.
Yeah. So look, when I kind of graduated, we're given an assignment, right? So, they said, hey, Ken Strange, you're going to Newark, New Jersey. I'm like, what the hell?
It's like, well, I want to go to New Jersey.
Yeah, come on, man. I already live in New Jersey. I don't want to stay here. And I was hoping to get to New York because, I was originally from New York. New York was kind of like this flagship of the FBI in the Northeast. And so, it had kind of a reputation about it. So I wanted to go there. I was disappointed, angry, but in the end, it turned out very well because had I gone to New York, I would have been lost in the crowd. And I probably would have ended up on a applicant unit where we go out and we interview people that are applying for government jobs.
That sounds boring as hell.
Oh, my God. It was sounded like a death sentence, And I thought, fuck, please don't give me that job. They usually give it to, they give it to the newbies, and you usually do it for about a year. And then if you don't quit, then they give you something else. But so I was like, oh my God. So I didn't have to do that. When I got to Newark, they looked at my resume and they said, geez, man, we don't want to have you doing applicant work. You should be on the Joint Terrorism Task Force. You lived in the Middle East. You worked in the Middle East. You speak some Arabic. We're putting you on the JTTF, the C-10 squad, the Joint Terrorism Task Force squad. And man, boy, I was so happy because this was my bread and butter. This was my forte. And I walked right into this Iceman, this kind of high-profile, high-octane squad. And it was awesome. It was so busy. The men and women in this squad, they were cool. They were the best at what they did. There was so much excitement to it. There was crap shit coming to us from all over. And it was, I call it like the candy store of terrorism. You could pick anything you wanted. You could do Abu Nidal. You could do the PLO. You could do the IRA. You could do Sikhs from India. You could do Jewish Defense League. Any, Black Liberation Army, whatever it was, you could do it there. I mean, these were the leads that were coming in hot and heavy. Plus it was with Middle East terrorism. There was a lot of stuff going on. Lots of stuff. The murder of Rabbi Kahani by these jihadists in New York and New Jersey, and that whole thing, kind of the birth of Al Qaeda right there in our backyard. So we had all these misfits, jihadis around us. So I'm telling you, it was a cool place to work.
Yeah, it's probably one of them things though you couldn't come home and talk to anybody about it though. You're probably working on crap that was top secret or something.
Yeah, exactly. And you'd be wound up, and I kind of lost myself in it because I couldn't wait to get to work in the morning. I've never felt this way about any other job in my life. Couldn't wait to get to work, and I hated to go home at night because there was so much to do, so many people. And for me, it was like, going out and flipping people, turning them into informants. And I soon learned I was pretty good at that. I could shoot the shit with Middle Eastern people. I could speak their language. I could speak Spanish. So I was kind of a natural for this type of work. And so, I just loved it. And of course, back then we had beepers. We didn't have cell phones or anything, but the beeper was going off like 24/7 for me. So it was just an amazing period of time, history in our country. This rolled right into the first Gulf War as well. So we were trying to keep safe from terrorists, Saddam Hussein's terrorists, and that type of stuff. So it was addictive work. It was addictive.
Yeah, at least you managed to survive through it, right?
Yeah, I barely survived it. I loved it. So I just remembered, I got to write about this one day. One day I'm going to write about it. And so finally I did. And, 4 months ago, my book got published, Cop's Son. So all those juicy terrorism tales are in the book. So
everybody listen, gonna have to go get the book and read it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's 5 stars all the way around. It got nice reviews on Kirkus reviews. It's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and it's unlike, I could say this much, it's unlike any other law enforcement book, simply because it's divided into 3 parts. The first part is this terrorism task force. And the second part is then I'm working overseas with an overseas American agency, one of those alphabet agencies. Mm-hmm. And so I'm working global fraud. I'm working fraud matters. So it's a totally different discipline. And then the third part, I end up coming back from overseas and working on the southwest border in Texas, El Paso, playing this cat and mouse game with the cartels. Working internal affairs. So, you're talking about terrorism, fraud, and internal affairs. That's, 3 different type disciplines, 3 different agencies, and, in the United States and overseas. So, you're getting a very different look at American law enforcement, on the federal side.
Right. Be glad you're not on the border right now, because there's a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Damn, I'm telling you, my heart is broken. Having lived in El Paso for 5 years and falling in love with Texas, and we loved El Paso. It was a great place to raise kids. There were drugs, but the drugs were going through El Paso. They didn't stop in El Paso. They went onwards. But it's a shame now. You see, that city has been destroyed by all these migrants. It's so sad. It just breaks your heart. Well,
where I'm located at in Louisiana, in between Florida and Florida and Texas, in the I-10 corridor, you ought to know.
Oh yeah.
That's the drug interstate, United States. Oh, yeah. You got money going one way and drugs going the other.
I bet you. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know the Interstate 10. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I could only imagine. The drugs going out there. But El Paso was just kind of a transit point, and and then it would go to Chicago. It would go to, maybe in your neck of the woods, go out that way, or maybe it would head off to L.A. Veer off to L.A. But we loved El Paso. It was a great place to raise kids, and we stayed 5 years there. And I I spoke Spanish. I was bilingual, so I enjoyed working on the border and working. At the time, the cartel was the Vicente Carrillo Fuentes cartel, and it was marijuana and cocaine coming through. Now marijuana is kind of legal. Now
almost everywhere.
Yeah, and now it's fentanyl, I guess. And
we thought back in the 90s that crack was bad, right?
Right.
Crack wasn't, crack. I remember the crack wars. I mean, when I first started as a young cop, they actually put me out for a while, putting out buying crack, in street clothes, and I hated it, and that's why I ended up not staying in it. But crack was the big thing, and then meth kind of rolled around. But with fentanyl and heroin hit, I mean, it's just ridiculous now.
No, that's really serious stuff. But you mentioned crack, and you'll remember we had this crack epidemic in the country. And what's interesting is one of my first cases in the overseas work that I was doing, I actually started a case in Washington, D.C., and it was a fraud case, a contractor that was delivering goods to the State Department and to our agency. And what he was doing is he was, putting in these requisitions, fraudulent requisitions for all kinds of goods that he could kind of peddle on the street, easy stuff to dispose of, quick money, so that he could satisfy his crack addiction. So, it was it was a simple case, but it was interesting because, I had to go to each department in the agency and say, hey, look, did you request this, that, and the other thing? Because this is the list I have. And they said, no, not at all. We didn't any of those things. So I'd have to go and, collecting evidence like this until I finally confronted the guy and, with the prosecutor. And, we said, look, the gig is up. And, you've just, it's like $10,000 worth of equipment that, I think it was videotapes and film and briefcases, stuff that he could easily fleece out there and get out there. And then we found out he was working with a camera store with, he was getting all this film, and then he would take it to a camera store and give them these, it was run by Afghani guys. And so, we took those guys down too. Of course, they said, oh no, we thought it was all legal. And then, of course, we turned our guy into a UC, and he was wired. And we said, no, I don't think so. You should listen to what you had. Hey, give me more stolen merchandise. You're on tape saying that. So
it's not my pants.
Yeah, right. And so when you said crack, that's I just remembered that case.
No, I didn't ever work any big stuff or anything. I remember, arresting people. I arrested this one woman one night, and she ended up getting pissed off because when we finally got it, she was in the crack area. The dude had sold her some little cut off pieces of soap instead of the crack. Yes.
Oh my God! Jeez,
she was madder than hell.
I can imagine. Yeah. No, definitely. And I'm telling you, the work you guys do, my hat's off to the stuff you do, because as I always say, you guys are on the front lines, and it would be kind of funny because you'd see local law enforcement, and they would, if they saw you out at night, they would laugh at you and say, "Hey, what are you doing here? You should be having your dinner. Leave this work to us guys. Cops on the street." And it was kind of funny, but maybe it was a little bit true.
Get that grunt work down.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, like I said, my father was a police officer for 38 years with the NYPD. So my life growing up was cops, and going to picnics with the cops and their families, barbecues. We did police athletic league with softball. You ended up on they'd say, hey, we need your son to play second base or right field or out of people. So that whole world for me was cops, and then just to kind of make this tie this into you with motorcycles. So my dad was a motorcycle cop for, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 years as a sergeant, and he was I've never seen him happier in my life with his work. He loved motorcycle. He loved it, and I said, "Why do you love this so much, Dad?" And he said, "Son, you may not understand this, but it's a clean place to work." And I said, "Clean like what? Dirty? What?" And he goes, "No, son, I'm talking about corruption." He said, "Motorcycle is clean. If you go into narcotics, oh boy, watch out." So, but I enjoyed them. I kind of, these were the people that I looked up to, and I would visit. He would take us, my brother and I, to visit some of these police officers, these motorcycle cops who had fallen from their bikes. Whether they hit an oil patch or an ice slick, and then they're in the hospital. And then my father would say, "Come on, you join me. I'm going to visit, sergeant or patrolman, this or that." So this was my world, and so I have the utmost respect for police officers around the country, around the world.
Well, I definitely from when I started in '95, it's a lot different than what it used to be.
Meaning what?
Well, I mean, people used to like cops, then especially after 9/11 happened. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere without people, just being nice and stuff. Now, you can get flipped off driving down the road, not minding your own business. It's just
I hear what you're saying. You're absolutely right. And my father passed away in 2020 during the COVID. He was 90 years old, so he had a good life. But in a way, I'm kind of glad that he went when he went, because he would not understand the country the way it is now, with kind of this defund the police, like you said, people flipping off cops. And just the other week, I was doing a book signing, and these two women came up. They were young women, and one says, "Oh my God, a cop's son! Oh, it's ridiculous! Ha ha!" Yeah, and I just thought, geez, no respect. You just what's that?
And
what's
I'm not
that all about?
where I'm at. It's not that bad. I went to Police Week this past year, and another listener came down and met me from Maryland, and her husband's a cop, and we were in his personal car, and I was like, I saw people just flipping cops off and stuff, and the cops wasn't just hate and disrespect for no reason whatsoever, just for the fact that they have a uniform on.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's kind of interesting. A few months ago, I went out to New York. High school reunion. It was our 50th high school reunion. So while I'm in New York, I'm trying to take advantage of this time to kind of promote my book. So there was a bookstore in my town where I kind of grew up, and so I said, well, I said to my wife, let's go over there and see if they're interested. And so this fella, he's in his late 40s, early 50s, and I said, hey, check out my book. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. It's the cat's meow. And he said, no, I'm not interested. And I said, well, why? You haven't really looked at it. He goes, I'm not interested in looking at it either. I hate cops. And I'm like, holy moly, so I just said, well, why? And then he said, because my father was a cop, I just hated him. So, I guess it takes all kinds.
Oh yeah, it's like I said, a different world. I told somebody recently to be a fireman. People still like firemen.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot, in some of those cities. I'm not sure I could ever do that work. With people just second guessing everything you do. I just wouldn't feel comfortable doing things because, you might end up going to jail yourself. So it's
for just doing your job correctly.
Amen to that. For just doing your job, you may go to jail. So no,
I don't like that. I don't see you're from New York or whatever, and you're living in well, no disrespect, but we call it California over here. You're
not far off there.
But it's like I don't understand. I sure couldn't be a cop in Chicago, New York. San Diego, a lot of them places. I watched the news and listen. I'm like, and I've talked to some guys down there too. I'm like, Seattle, Portland. I don't know how they even have cops.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I know they're finding it hard to recruit cops. Hello, go figure. But that's the problem. And then ridiculous bullshit out here in LA at one point. Again, this is right after George Floyd. So they slashed the budget for LAPD, which was terrible to begin with. But then they're talking about, well, we need to send a police officer out with a social worker, and the two of them can go to these domestic disputes together. And I'm thinking, what the hell? You're going to send a social worker? Correct me if I'm wrong, Iceman, but these domestic disputes are some of the most dangerous things you could walk into in your life. That's what I've heard from other police officers and my dad. And you're sending out a social worker that's going to, show empathy and, oh my God, it's just Looney Tunes.
Oh, so what they going to do? Show up with a teddy bear and Rice Krispie treats or something? I mean, what they plan on doing? I mean, and some of these places I saw, they were talking about, well, they weren't even going to send the cops out for like mental health calls. They were just going to send a social worker. I'm like, that's going to be really bad because there are people going to get killed.
Yeah, and the other thing too is you see all these flash robberies, mob-like robberies where all these kids come in and they steal up to here. It's up to, I think it's about $950. They can steal. And, if they get picked up by the cops, they're just processed and they'll let go, and they do it again and again and again. So it's just kind of a breakdown of the society. I thought do not steal was one of the commandments that, we had.
Well,
and
they took God out of school, if you remember.
What's that?
They took God out of school.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And that's a big problem.
Well, if you make no consequences for your actions, I mean, there's no punishment. So there's no deterrent.
Right.
Because I told somebody one time, I'm like, I said the reason most people are law abiding is not because they're just, the people are good, but most people are law abiding because they have a fear of going to prison.
Yes, that's right.
They just don't want to go to prison. If there's no consequence for it, people, good or bad, are just going to basically do whatever the hell they want to do because there's no consequences for it.
Exactly. No, you've hit it right on the head. That's the crux of the matter, for sure. So, if one of my kids or grandkids said, I want to be a police officer, I want to serve, I want to make a difference in the society, I would caution that kid, that girl or boy, and say, think twice about this, because there's upside, but there's also a downside in this culture at this time.
It depends on where you're at. Like, I'm in Louisiana. We're not that bad down here.
Right. I'm
pretty sure if I have to, which let me knock on some wood, because I ain't never had to, if I had to pull the trigger on somebody and, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, I'm not going to get thrown under the bus. Not where I work at. The parish where I live at, when you pull in, when you're coming into the parish, there's actually billboards up from the sheriff's office, from the sheriff, that says we support our, how is it worded? It says, I think we support our churches, our schools, and our Second Amendment. Enjoy your stay.
Okay.
So,
that sets the tone. That sets the tone, right?
Well, we just had a road rage incident not too far from, a couple miles from where I live. Somebody got out of their vehicle and went up to the other person's car and jerked their door open. Well, when they did, the person sitting in their car put a round through the person's stomach area, and the person died. And
excuse me. Let me just Sorry.
And that's all right. The person died, but the person was defending themselves. And there was no charges. What I'm reading, they got somebody, where is it, New York or somewhere, recently. Some lady was being mugged or something, or beat up. Samaritan fires his gun into the ceiling of the subway or something, scares the bad guy off. They charge the guy for discharging his firearm to save the lady.
Wow. Can you believe that? That's right. Yeah, and you see that thing in New York City with the Marine. He tackles this fella, gets him in this kind of chokehold by kind of mistake, and he's actually protected some of these other people that this fellow was threatening, and then unfortunately that guy dies, and now the Good Samaritan is in prison. So
yeah, so it's going to make it word. It's like I always say, why don't people do something? Well, looking why. Right. They don't want to do nothing because they're going to end up in jail, and the bad guy's going to walk free or whatever.
Exactly. So this has got to change, or else, the consequences are, a lot of these people are going to flee states like California, New York, to go into these red states. Would you
being former law enforcement in California, you're still able to carry your weapon and stuff concealed, huh?
No, I have not. I've never gone for a concealed weapon thing. Although I've thought about it. I'm still thinking about it, but I don't have that right now.
Oh, see, here, like where I live, once I retire, as long as I have my retired commission, I can still carry concealed. I don't have to go get a concealed carry.
Okay, yeah. So that's much more stringent here in California. But like you said. Even if I did carry it, I'd be very nervous with how I handled a weapon, in this type of climate.
Yeah. Well, it's not that bad You said you're in Malibu area?
Yeah. So, I mean, this zip code is pretty, it's pretty good. We have the Ventura County Sheriff's Department. They're pretty hardcore, as opposed to, let's say, LA County, where they have this district attorney who's like very soft on crime. You probably heard his name, Gascon.
Yeah, he just woke.
No, absolutely. And all these DAs were leaving, or have left, because they just can't take it with this guy. He lets everybody off, even some very dangerous people. But Ventura County, where I am, we're just kind of like on the other side of the border here. They are tough. And they don't brook any nonsense. And even we've had some of these mobs of kids come out here, but these guys. They know when they're coming, and if they have great intelligence. And if they do hit some of these stores, and they have been hit here, they arrest them immediately, and they don't. They stay in jail. So it's a little different here.
Well, how is it in the Middle East over there?
How what?
How is it over there, like in the Middle East, when you were overseas?
Well, look, I'm dating myself, but I was there from 1979 to 1985. So when I got there, I quickly learned that this was a very volatile and unpredictable region. I'm there maybe 1 month, and the rebels in Saudi Arabia take over the Holy Mosque in Mecca. And there's a huge firefight, and it lasts for weeks. And they have to go down into the tunnels. Their soldiers have to go down, their National Guard, with French. They had some French, consultants from the Foreign Legion. They had to go down like hand-to-hand fighting in the basements to get the rebels out. Tremendous loss of life, and I'll never forget seeing all these C-130 Hercules planes flying into where I lived. I was right by the airport, and they would fly in these military C-130s. And, we were hanging out with British nurses. So the nurses would tell us, oh, my God, you should see what came in today. All these mangled bodies and, people shot up and death and all, So that was 1 month into my stay in the Middle East. And then, we had the hostage thing in Iran, and all of these things were happening where I lived. So, and the other thing was the Saudis didn't, if you committed a crime, and God help you if you killed someone, because you'd lose your head. And I'll tell you this: I was invited to 2 beheadings, and I turned them down. I said, no, I'm not interested in seeing a beheading.
Well, they just have a party about it. Hey, we're going to chop this dude's head off. Come on.
Yeah. I'm like, if that's something I see, I can't unsee it, And the guy says, well, no, it's really cool. I mean, it's right after prayer. They all come out after the mosque. And, I've got this balcony thing. You can sit. We can have a lemonade and watch. And, so, it's a big black guy with a huge sword. And, he pokes him in the and oh, my God. I said, no, thanks, please. But, very, very serious about their crime. Theft, murder, forget it. So that was a big lesson. That was a big lesson for me. They're very serious about crime and deterring crime.
Well, I bet their crime rate's not real high.
No, not real high at all. No, that's for sure. And as a foreigner, you had to be careful because there are a lot of things like alcohol, making alcohol. Not so much making alcohol, but trafficking in alcohol. If you got caught, you went to prison for a long time. I knew a guy, an Australian guy. He was out of their villa. He was making hooch, and he got a little too greedy. And instead of just supplying foreigners, in the villa, some Australians, some Brits, some Americans, stuff like that, he started to sell his stuff to the Saudis, to the royal family, and it didn't end up very well for him. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know why people would want to go to a foreign country, especially places like that, and even break the law on purpose.
Yeah, no. I mean, right? I mean, you're already, you're over there because you're getting paid. You're being compensated pretty well. In some cases, in many cases, it was like tax free. If you spent more than a year over there, you tax-free. Everything was tax-free. So plus they're paying for your apartment and all that stuff and tickets and the whole thing. So I really didn't understand why people wanted to go that extra yard to make an extra buck and take those chances, those risks. It just didn't make. And the other thing is too, and I don't know if you're aware of this, Iceman, but if you had to be careful. I went over there as a single man, and you had to be careful because if you were caught with a woman, if the police saw you with a woman, let's say you're driving around, and she's not your wife, both of you are going to go to jail, and you're going to be deported quickly. So you had that going on. We had a priest that would come to our compound, and he would, these were church services he would have with the Westerners in the complex. But this priest, for example, he made a big mistake. He went into the city, and he had this church service for, people from India, people from Lebanon, and the religious police found out. They came in, they beat the hell out of him. They put him in jail, and then they deported him. So you had to be careful. This was a very serious country. You had to pay attention to some of these dynamics.
Well, over there, you probably couldn't really tell what a woman looked like because they all wore that thing on their heads.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you one thing. They were so dressed up. They had these black things you couldn't see. Maybe you could see their eyes. But I quickly came to admire a good ankle. If I saw a woman, I said, "Boy, that's a hot chick right there."
She's got a nice ankle.
That's about it. That's about all you could.
Did you see that? Did you see that eyelash?
Yeah, pretty right. Wow, she has makeup on her eyes. Wow, that's all I could see. But so yeah, all of that. It was a very restrictive society. It's just. But I wasn't there to pick up chicks.
You were there years though working.
Yeah. So I was there about 5 or 6 years, and I met my wife there. As a matter of fact, because she was a stewardess, and she was passing through one of the hotels nearby where I was working, and I met her in the bookstore of this hotel.
Her ankles really did it for you, or what?
You didn't need to wear those black abayas, but I had to be careful. We had to be careful. Anyway, you'd meet, you'd go in the back, and you'd be very. So
was your wife from there? She was American, or?
No, she's from the Philippines. It's from the Philippines.
Okay.
So you had to be very discreet about any type of contact with the opposite sex.
Wow, that's just craziness.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, we ran into this Saudi couple a few months ago, and they were young, with a young family, and we started to tell them about our experiences, and they looked at us like we were like from another planet. They said, "What? Is that what happened in our country?" And I said, "Yeah, Oh, it doesn't happen like that. We have bowling. Women can drive now. We have bowling alleys. We have movie theaters." I'm like, wow, that's a great change. Good for you.
Oh, women can drive. Y'all are just moving on up in the world.
Yeah, wow, that's a good thing. So, good for you. I said,
Well, like I said, you should have had a pretty full life there for you going on, from traveling the world, working the FBI.
Yeah, it's been interesting for sure. People say why. I say, I don't know. I'm kind of like a gypsy. I like doing different things, trying different things. And I retired in 2010 out here, and I went into the private sector, and I did a few things. I was in Mexico City for 2 years, working as head of compliance investigations for Siemens, the German company. They have an office in Mexico City, so that was a wonderful experience because they're a great company, and I traveled all over the world with them, and then I worked for Corning Inc. Upstate New York, and that was pretty interesting, and that's the first time I'd run into intellectual property theft, where other countries were trying to break in, kind of break into your cyber system and steal the secrets.
It's definitely like coming out of China.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say it. But
I'll say it. Don't be scared on here. It's something that come out of China because, hell, you can go on a lot of like the little websites and stuff and order the knockoffs like crazy.
Yeah, no, and look, they were serious about competing with our company because they had like a 5 or 10 year plan where it says that they wanted to catch up to our company and then go past them, and they would do anything they could to make sure that happened. They were recruiting from our company. These scientists, these engineers would sign non-disclosure acts, but when you're offered a big sum of money, screw non-disclosure act.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd see these guys, we'd see them over there, and they would, they put them up in nice places. They'd throw women at them. Nice looking. No, they weren't wearing veils or anything. More than ankles, right? So there was that going on, and I got into a situation once where they called me to go out to another country because one of our people had been approached by another coworker who had left the company and was now being he was a pawn being moved all over all over the place, trying to recruit other people to do things.
Wow.
To give up the secrets, to download things, to take photos, and the rewards were great. They were you get a house, you get a wife. It was very very interesting. The lengths they would go to try to become the number one power.
Wow, it ain't stopped. They're still going for it.
Yeah, they're still going for it, and we've got to be very, we have to take care of our stuff.
Well, yeah, it's when you buy something, when you buy American flag and it says "Made in China."
Yeah, you might not want to do that.
I mean, it's insane. What got you in? What made you decide to become a writer?
Oh yeah, so look, I've been writing pretty much most of my life. I loved, as a kid, I loved going to the library. There was a library near my house in Brooklyn, and I would go there and I'd pick up these science fiction books like Ray Bradbury, adventure books, Jack London, for example, all those things. And so I loved not only reading, but I found that I wanted to write. I wanted to tell my own stories, kind of do my own science fiction things, all of that. So that kind of progressed throughout my life, in high school, college. When I got out of college, I was writing for a newspaper. I really, really enjoyed it. But I always thought, in the back of my mind, I would like to write a book. But I just, you're working, you couldn't find the time to do that. This thing called life gets in the way, raising a family, all of that stuff. But always in the back of my mind, I thought, I need to do, so I want to do 3 books. And so I've written 2 of those books, and I'm working on the 3rd one, which is about Saudi Arabia, go figure. So, I've always wanted to do that. And then I had good luck with the first book. It was self-published. It's called It's Your Camino. I told you about Martin Sheen helping us out with the book.
Yes.
And it won 2 awards. It got an IPPY award and a Catholic Media Association award. And I never win anything in my life, right? So this was wonderful. It was kind of like, hey, maybe I can write. So then, a friend of mine in the FBI, he worked the Unabomber case. His name is Terry Turchi, wonderful guy. And you used to see him on Fox News, as a talking head. So Terry had the book Unabomber, and I contacted him and I said, hey, I'm a big fan of yours. Great book. Love seeing you on Fox. I'm a writer also. And he said, hey, is there anything you've written? I said, well, I'm working on this book. I finished the manuscript, blah, blah, blah. He said, can you send me a copy of the manuscript? And I said, absolutely. So I sent it off to Terry. And within a few days, he calls me and he says, damn, dude, you can write. And I said, well, yeah, thanks. I've been doing it a long time. And he said, do you mind if I hand this off to my publisher? And I said, damn, no, please do. And that's what he did. He sent it over to the History Publishing Company, and they called me and within a week, and they said, hey, let's sign a contract. We like what you've written here. It's good stuff. But, and I should say this, Iceman, is the FBI took the manuscript and they went to town on it for about 18 months. Because, as you know, you sign an agreement. If you're going to write a book and there's FBI stuff, they want to take a look at your sources and your methods and see if they're protected. So part of it was COVID, and so it sat around, I guess. But when it came back, there were some redactions. There were some. So you'll see like little blacked out pieces, especially in the first part of the book.
Yeah, well, not a whole lot though, huh?
No, not a whole lot. But certainly people have said, "Hey, what the hell is this?" I bought your book, and there's a paragraph that's deleted. And I said, "Well, I pointed it out to you in the preface. This is how the government does business."
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: some of the stuff that I thought was going to be redacted, boy, they let through. And the things that I thought, no, there's no way they're going to redact this. There's nothing here. And those are the parts that they thought, we can't let you do this. So it was a little bit surprising.
Yeah, you always sometimes just ask backwards for some reason. So when's your next? You working on your third book? You said.
Yeah. So the first book, self-published, It's Your Camino. This book now, it's been out for like 4 or 5 months. Cop's Son. And then I'm about halfway done on the third book, which is called Land of Sand. Fittingly, right?
Yeah.
Land of Sand. And it's a kind of a coming of age book, as a young man trying to, overseas and into another culture. So so I'm halfway through there, and I hope to maybe have it published in the next year and a half.
You got anybody? Is yours just regular paper right now? Or you got them on audio yet or anything?
Oh, good. That's a great question. So with the Cop's Son, it's out in hardcover. It's on ebook. We are about to put it into the soft cover, which will be a much cheaper book. And then I told the publisher, look, let's do the audio book because I'm getting a lot of people requesting audio books. And he said, okay, let's get the soft cover book out first, and then we'll do the audio book. So that's the plan.
Well, I got some friends that are, I say young, they're in their 30s, and they listen to they don't read as much, but they listen to audio books like crazy. And be honest with you, I have more time to listen to a book than I do have to sit down and read it.
I hear you.
Because
I know.
Driving back and forth to work, where I don't work in the same area where I live, so I have an average an hour and a half, 2 hours round trip every day. I have to burn up, or if I'm just out riding around patrolling, it's a quiet day or whatever, I'll listen to podcasts and stuff. It's just easier.
Yeah. Well, look, thank you for telling me that, because, when we hang up, I'm going to call my publisher and say, hey, Iceman wants an audio book. Come on, get with it.
I'm just saying, it's just, like I said, I know the younger generation in their 30s and stuff, I said, they always got headphones and everything in. And I thought sometimes, what you doing? He's like, listening to a book.
Right. Yeah. No, one of my colleagues from the Department of Justice, she works, she retired. She's in Florida. She says, Ken, look, I'm not going to buy you a book, but if you do an audio book, I'll buy it because, like you, she's commuting back and forth to Miami. So I hear you. Definitely.
Yeah, it's the whole reading and driving is a little dangerous.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you got that right.
Well, I've seen people doing, reading, eating bowls of cereal, watching TV on their phone. Insane.
Oh, it is insane. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I kind of catch myself. Yeah, I want to reach for that cell phone. I got to find this song, but I better not.
Well, I'm not a great texter as it is. I'm not like them youngsters that can do it without looking at it. No, I'll answer the phone while I'm driving, but I got Bluetooth that's hands free. And
oh yeah,
but
sure.
A lot of times I might glance at my watch. I got an Apple Watch. I can see what's, but I don't text to drive because I'll end up running into something.
Yeah, especially out here in Los Angeles. I mean, you do that, you're taking a big chance.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. I've never driven out there, but I've seen. I used to watch Chips.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
Greatest television show ever.
Yeah, it was the Ponds or
Ponch and John.
That's it. Yeah, it was a good show. We enjoyed it. We liked it.
Well, Mr. Kenneth, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You have my number. I'm going to put the names and everything in your books into the description section down below with the audio listeners. If y'all want to go look and see the names of his books, and y'all can, I'll try to link to it.
Thank you so much.
Give me a call back or something when your other book's done. You got my phone number. More than welcome
Absolutely.
to come back on anytime you want to. I love talking and bullshitting with people.
Hey, I appreciate it. And Iceman, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Like I said, you stellar career over there and still doing stuff.
Thank you. You guys are you're right on the front lines.
Don't hang up yet, and me end this out, and but don't hang up yet.
Okay.
All right, everybody. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I like talking to people. Like I said, y'all go check his books out. Can at least read. Pretty soon they'll be out on audio if you don't want to read. And then y'all let me know how it is. Other than that, come back Wednesday. We'll have the live show. Holster will be here. I think Freebird will. I'm not sure or not. Y'all come back and check that out. Be safe. Watch your back. Watch your partner's back. Remember, we're not sheepdogs. We're lions. Until next time.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until